everyone. If you're new here, my name is Leigh. Welcome to our backyard garden on a blustery and flurry day on January 15th, 2024. The reason I'm making this video today is you can see we have the Costco Greenhouse by Yardistry in the background, and we were at Costco today in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and we noticed that they had a display set up on the floor. So I'm sure for those of you who do not own it yet, it may be piquing your interest. Perhaps you've been watching it for the past several seasons. And what I wanted to do today was show you what this greenhouse looks like after 15 months. 15 months of being outside set up in our garden. Now, for those of you who live in this area, or you live in a wintry place and you're experiencing the unprecedented winds and rain that we've had lately, you may be curious to know how this little structure holds up against these elements and the climate change that we've been going through. I'm going to give you a close-up look of how it looks weathered after 15 months. It is unsealed, it is unstained, and I'm going to go over a few highlights with you so you know what to expect after 15 months of this structure being out in the elements. So let's go take a walk and have a look at the Costco Greenhouse by Yardistry. Yeah, so this little structure sure is cute, you guys. And again, if you're new stopping here, you will be curious maybe to look at the videos that we did during delivery, installation, building the base, building the shelves inside. We put in a floor. We did a lot of landscaping around this structure, and you know, it had our ups and downs. It had its ups and downs. So, you know, there's a few things that I want you to know once again if you are considering buying this structure. Now, the first thing that may get you when you see it on the showroom floor is that beautiful smell of cedar that hits you when you walk into it. That smell doesn't really stay around very long. Well, I think this is some type of cedar. It's, you know, that smell I think is, they have some sort of a light stain finish on it initially, and it smells like cedar, but that smell does not hang around for very long. Now, our greenhouse is exposed on this side to the east. The way you're looking at it right now is to the north, and the biggest pack of sun, the biggest hit of sun that happens is from back here. This is south facing. Now I want you to look at some of the weathering that's happening. Now, this little striation right here on the side, this is from carpenter bees. So it does peel. Now, we just never got around to staining it or sealing it, and I'll get into that with you in a second. But this fading that is happening here is, you know, like I said, it's not sealed. It was never stained. It's doing its thing. It's starting to gray naturally. You can see this side faces west. So it's turning gray, and it's got some lovely browns on it. And, you know, overall, considering we haven't had any heavy snow laying on it, it has had some serious rain and windstorms. Just this past week, we got hit with like 60-mile-an-hour winds, and it didn't budge. But I'll explain to you how we really secured this to the ground while we attach all the videos of the construction. Now, we constructed this in a way where we didn't want it to move. So we used 4x6 pressure treated lumber on the side, these timbers, and they are driven into the ground with rebar that goes in opposing directions. Then we use decking screws to attach the greenhouse to the pressure treated. The front is 4x4 pressure treated, and we did 4x6 on the side because we just wanted that extra wiggle room in the assembly and construction, which I will get into with you in a moment. You can see that it does build up some condensation in the glass. The glass does do some strange things. It starts to get these little, I don't know if you can see, these little marks here. It's almost, this happens all summer long. It's not just because it's frozen outside right now. These are some things to consider of what it's going to look like I said, after 15 months of all sorts of exposure. I don't know why this is patina, having a patina like that. It's just a random area. It looks like it might be some sort of wood glue. Its knots are starting to expose. And, you know, overall, it's doing pretty good considering we get blazing heat in the summer. We've had, you know, some crazy rain that has gone through, but the carpenter bees sure do love it, and the paper wasps also love peeling away the extra thin. This wood is very, very thin, and it seems like it just wants to peel in certain spots. So that beautiful pristine greenhouse that you see on the showroom floor is not going to stay like that for very long. So they're saying that we might be getting it's freezing cold finally. We might be getting some snow tonight. So this will be our first chance. We haven't had snow here in a couple of years. They're saying it's a snow drought here in New Jersey. So we might get an inch or two of snow overnight tonight. So we'll have an opportunity to see how well, you know, the roof can hold a snow load. But you know, it gets nice and warm inside. So I think the snow will melt off as long as it's not ice. I am a little concerned what will happen if we have a hailstorm. Now, you know, this thing does leak, and right now I'm not so mad at that because it's watering my lettuce that's growing in there, but you can anticipate some leakage inside. And I'm going to show you inside right now, even though my greenhouse is a mess, so please don't judge me. Let's take a walk inside the Costco greenhouse and see what it looks like. And before I forget, you guys, I have the lock set up here, and if you've been looking at it on the showroom floor, this somehow flips up and locks. We get into this in another video. I got locked in last year in blazing heat. I thought I was going to die. So we added this bolt lock on the bottom, and you can see we installed it sideways very simply. So its connector is down here, so it's easy enough. So that's not going to open up or close on you by itself. So once that's up and over, you're safe. But we had to do it this way because you can see the door is warped. A lot of people got a greenhouse with a warped door. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that in just a second. But for now, let's go inside. Hi, Lady Everly. Let's see. So it's saying it's a little over 41 degrees in here. It feels like it's in the 20s outside. I will have, we will edit the actual air temperature onto the front of the screen for you so you can see. But right now the greenhouse is messy because we had to move stuff in rapidly. I've been keeping a bag of soil in here to warm up, and I have carrots growing happily. Hopefully we're going to have some carrots coming up soon. And I have like 6 or 7 varieties of lettuce that are growing out here. You can see it's January. It's the middle of January, and I have fresh lettuce. This is just absolutely amazing. So if you look at the discoloration on the pea gravel here, you can see that the pea gravel is just staying wet. So it does leak in from underneath where the base of the greenhouse gets attached to the base that we built. Now we're keeping this raised up off of the floor because you do not want this structure sitting in water. It will rot, it will warp. You want to make sure this goes onto a level surface with good drainage, and you want to make sure that after you drive the timber base into the ground with rebar in opposing directions, we did a very detailed video for you. You're then going to take decking screws and you're going to attach this structure to the base, and we also used hurricane ties. Okay, this thing did not move. I mean, our winds that went through here the other night were knocking down fences, knocking down trees. We have several snap trees in the neighborhood. This thing did not budge. Another thing that we did not do was install the automatic vent opener because it just doesn't, this wood swells and warps. It does crazy things. The last thing that I wanted to happen was for this thing to get stuck open in a storm. So we just open it manually. I bought this from Amazon, and this just gets hooked onto that nipple up there that you can see, and it keeps it open manually. So, but it also, you know, it does have these nice big hooks for hanging pots, or you could do a bar across here to hang other hanging pots. There's lots of things to do inside of here. Now you can see that this is weathering beautifully in here. This, you know, this doesn't really get wet too much. It just comes in from around the bottom. And up here where the roof trusses are, I don't know if the camera's picking up that seam, but that does leak. Even though it's, you know, heavily siliconed, the water is still finding its way in. So that's something that I want you to consider if you're going to buy this for something that you're worried is going to get wet. You know, it gets wet in here, so I wouldn't put anything in here that you really like furniture with cushions or anything like that. You can see there's an outside vent over there. I also just have a Jiffy tray propped up against it just to keep the elements out and keep it a little bit warmer in here than it would be outside. But again, it's very messy in here because I'm getting ready to start getting stuff ready, and it does become a little bit of a dumping ground, for your stuff, but it takes 5 minutes to clean all of this up. And it's a great little space. When you don't have all this spread out all over the floor, there's plenty of room to walk. We just used EP Henry pavers or Cambridge pavers. I don't remember what they are. We'll go into that in the other videos. But the sides are lined with the pea gravel just for proper drainage and to make sure that any water that gets in can find its way out. And it's just easier for cleanup and mess and everything to have that. But you could easily do pavers up to the sides if you wanted to. Anything that's permeable pavers, just so it will dry properly for you. So you don't really want to put anything in here, any kind of flooring that you're worried is going to get wet, because it is going to get wet. So in our video playlist, we have everything from when we originally ordered it in October of 2022. We show the delivery of it coming because we ordered it online. I think the warehouse price today, I'll post it up here on the screen. I think it was $13.89 or something like that. It goes on sale, so you can anticipate that that's coming up. And the online price is different. We ordered it online because when we got it, it was in October. I saw it online before I actually saw it in the warehouse. So we had it delivered, and we go over all of that and what it took to assemble it. So if you're wondering about what assembly is like, we want you to know that these are two very, very heavy boxes. If you're going to take it home from the warehouse, you're going to want to have a helper, you're going to want to have a hand truck, and you're going to want to keep this in a place where it will stay dry in the boxes. Please, whatever you do, don't start taking it apart until you know you're getting ready to assemble it. The wood warps very, very rapidly. So it's tied down in the boxes as it's organized to fit in there. But you will need to take inventory. We did have pieces missing, and we had a lot of warped wood. We had broken wood, cracked wood, all sorts of issues that we go into in the videos that we're going to attach for you. So if you're going to assemble this and install it in a climate where you may be, truly experiencing winter right now, I personally would not try to set this up in the winter. You're going to want to wait until the spring. You're going to want your ground to be absolutely level where you're installing it, and you're going to want your assembly site to be absolutely level when you're putting it together. It's very finicky. It needs to be level. So make sure you survey your land or wherever you're going to put it to make sure you have good drainage. You may need to excavate a little bit and put down some foundation material like we did. Make sure if you're sitting on a swale that you build it up enough and you retain the side so that you can get it up off the ground. And your best bet is going to be to install this in a way where it's not going to sit in any water, because even if you seal this, it will be prone to rot. Now, I started to touch base a moment ago about why we didn't seal it. Like I said, when we first bought it in October of 2022, we had all sorts of problems. It took us weeks to get it together because we were waiting for them to send us extra parts, and then it just got cold and we never got the opportunity to seal it. Then when springtime came around, we had all sorts of plants started in here, and then it got too hot. It was too hot. It would have been tacky if I would have tried to seal it. Then I said, okay, I'll do it in the autumn, which this past autumn, I didn't get a chance to do it again because it went from being way too hot to way too cold. So I missed my opportunity again to seal it. So everything that you saw, I'm going to go back out again and show you some of the things of the way it's aging. You're going to want to consider staining this, or at least water sealing it with like Thompson's water-based sealer. It has to be a water-based sealer. You'll want to consider doing that, especially if you're in a wet climate where this is going to, really just sit and absorb water all the time. This finish that's on here now, like I said, I don't know if you can tell from the inside here, but when we first got it, it really looked like this on the outside, but the outside just changed so rapidly. So when I seal it in the springtime, I will also seal the inside of it. And you'll see that as you're putting it together, I know people who stained the entire thing before they put it together. They were very happy that they did. And I would have been happy as well. But you may be one of those people who runs into problems with your inventory of wood. Maybe something's missing, maybe something's broke. Maybe you'll find that your main entry door here is warped like ours was 2 different times, and that the upper vent warps and doesn't go together very well, and you may need to get parts. So be prepared that as you take this apart and you start to seal it, and now your inventory is loose in winter, and maybe you have to wait for something, a new part to come, you're going to potentially run into the issues like we did, where you go to assemble it and you have trusses and frames that are just too warped and twisted to come together properly, and then the rest of your inventory could be sitting out in the elements or in your garage or wherever, waiting to be completed while you're waiting for another part that's going to have to be sealed, and so on. So I would say that this is an intermediate assembly. There's some people who are handier than others. It's great to have a helper for this. There are people who have put it together by themselves. I would say 2 people, plan on at least the weekend, even longer if you can. You want to do inventory, you want to plan ahead, have your base ready, and so on. But everything that I'm talking to you about now is covered in the entire playlist that we created for the Yardistry Greenhouse sold at Costco. So I wanted to show you another area real quick and the way it's aging. You see these wiper blade marks almost. That is like that because there were tall plants here, and every time the wind blew them, it just kind of scratched up on the side. So it was nothing overly thorny. They were just snapdragons. But you can see how much, it really went in after the finish that was on there. But, overall, considering that it wasn't sealed, it's holding up pretty well. It's starting to get some stressing, some cracks on here, but this is, again, 15 months in New Jersey temperatures and all types of different exposures, lots of rain. Sometimes I don't even know what it's doing until I come out and look at it again. Like, you can see that this is really starting to stress here, but I think it's going, it'll stabilize. You can probably do some repairs on it as time goes. And we keep saying if we get 10 years out of this structure, we'll be happy. But we wanted to make sure we did our due diligence in getting this thing up out of any puddles and not sitting in any water, so that when it rains, the rain will just wash away from it. So we have it on a rock bed because we're on a swale. So this whole entire property comes down this way, which is why we had to build a retaining wall around it, because we had to raise this corner up completely. So these are some things to consider if you're looking at this greenhouse, which I'm sure you are. If you don't own it yet, I'm sure it's calling out to you, and you can imagine the wonderful things that you will put in it. Well, you guys, winter is finally coming. Mother Nature remembered that she hasn't given New Jersey winter in a while. So yeah, if you're fantasizing about this wonderful little structure, we think it's worth the money. It's not everything that we wanted in a greenhouse. There's some things that you're going to want to consider, like running conduit to it for electricity and water. It does not have a vent area for a fan. There's no holes in it that are pre-drilled for you to send wires through. So these are all things to consider before you buy it and take it apart, because that's where you're going to run into your biggest potential issue, is if you take it out of the box and start to assemble it and then you don't finish it and it warps. So, these things are all food for thought. Keep in mind, it's January. This structure is most likely going to go on sale. So it always does. It's always at some odd price. By the end of the season, it'll be probably several $100s off. So, and you really can't assemble it now anyway. So give it some serious thought before you invest your money, especially if you're on a budget. But if you can afford it and you've been looking at greenhouses and you just need something to get your seedlings into, or maybe it's just a place to harden off your tomato plants, or maybe it's just, a potting shed for you, which is what worked out really wonderful for us in the springtime. I was able to come out here while it was freezing cold and all the mess was in the greenhouse instead of my kitchen, while I sat and mixed my soil and potted up all of my tomatoes and peppers, and it was just really, really wonderful. So anyway, you guys, don't forget, visit our playlist. We cover a lot of things on here. We were able to help a lot of people over the past year who bought this structure and, you know, needed some tips on assembling it and thinking of some things that they were going to run into, things that you just don't consider. So check it out. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And if this video helped you today, please like it and give it a thumbs up. It helps us out tremendously. So again, my name is Leigh. This is our backyard garden. We are located in New Jersey. We are suburban gardeners. It is zone 7A, and we saw this today at the Costco in Mount Laurel, New Jersey on the floor. So I'm certain it's starting to come out in Costco's across the country. So if you take the leap, you guys, good luck. Stop in and see us. If you have any questions, please post them below. We respond to every question and every comment. So thanks for spending time with me, guys. Good luck if you buy it, and I hope to hear from you soon.